In this portion, we can discuss the 4 key wizards that comprise NexentaVSA for View: the Deployment Wizard, the Reconfiguration Wizard, Performance Benchmarking, and the Calibration Wizard. The NexentaVSA for View Deployment Wizard automates the entire deployment process, eliminates the need for manual configuration and administration, provisions storage and optimizes utilization, provides unlimited RAID based on hybrid solid-state and hard drive storage devices, and drastically reduces overall complexity. Deploying a new desktop pool on this example vCenter using the SBB cluster. In this example, the desktop pool will contain 20 stateless linked clone desktops. The Deploy VDI feature starts an easy-to-use wizard that provisions a specified ESX cluster with a new virtual desktop infrastructure. On the Deployment Wizard screen, select this SBB ESXi cluster to be used for deployment. NexentaVSA for View allows for deploying VDI only on clusters that have free memory, processor, and storage resources. Now choose the Next button to proceed to the next screen to select Stateless Desktop Pool Type and open the advanced options to set your provisioning type. Under the advanced options, select Linked Clones as the provisioning type. All the desktops are cloned from the snapshot of the parent. Choose the Next button to proceed to the next screen to set the desktop pool name, Lab01, the size of the pool at 20 desktops, and the limit of 40 desktops. Now select a Microsoft Windows desktop image and its snapshot from which the desktops will be cloned. Proceed to select a domain in which to place the desktops. It can be the same domain as the View Connection Server host domain, or a domain that has a two-way trust relationship with the View Connection Server host domain. Use the advanced options to configure advanced desktop pool properties. We can set the success threshold here, which is a percentage of desktops that must deploy successfully without errors. Now choose the display protocol. This can be RDP or PCOIP that will be used to access the desktops. Now choose your desktop naming pattern. This is a very useful feature that helps to meet specific application requirements. A token, designated by a letter N surrounded by curly brackets, can be placed anywhere in a desktop name pattern. The token will be replaced with a unique number. For example, the current pattern will result in Lab0101 test, Lab0102 test, and so on. The AD container is optional. Browse the Active Directory tree for a previously created Active Directory container for the desktops. CN equals computers can be used as an Active Directory container for the desktop pool. With customization specification, it can greatly expedite desktop pool deployment. It automates the process of joining a domain, licensing the desktops, and configuring the network, and more. Linked Clone Desktop Pool supports 2 types of guest customization: VMware Quick Prep and Microsoft SysPrep. Microsoft SysPrep is a standard Microsoft system preparation utility. You can select an existing specification or create a new one. VMware Quick Prep is designed to work efficiently with View Composer. Therefore, it will be much faster than SysPrep for our linked clone pool. Now select an Nexenta Store VSA template. It comes packaged with an NexentaVSA for View tarball as an OVF template and must be deployed as a virtual machine on a vCenter, and then converted into a virtual machine template. The product supports using external Nexenta Store appliances. You can, for a given pool of virtual desktops, select one of the following options: Nexenta Store VSAs 1 per ESX host in the ESX cluster, bare metal Nexenta Store appliance or appliances, or Nexenta Store VSAs residing possibly in the ESX hosts outside the cluster and explicitly designated for this pool of virtual desktops. We will use the manual setting and input static IP address and net mask for Nexenta Store VSAs. Each ESXi host in a cluster will have its own Nexenta Store VSA with a unique IP address, respectively 10.200.200.76 and 10.200.200.77. Manual setting requires the network to be connected and the vSwitches created and configured on all the ESXi hosts. Next, we see the Configure Advanced Settings. NexentaVSA for View provides a set of default profiles that encapsulate stored structure such as RAID levels, L2 ARC, write log, etc., hypervisor resource allocations, and virtual desktop settings for a variety of stateful, stateless, and hybrid pools of virtual desktops. Select the default stateless profile for the future pool. The profile can be fully customized to fit specific needs, as in set ZFS and volume properties, set resources for Nexenta Store VSAs and desktops, and even set VMware view properties. Here we set the entitlements for the new desktop pool. Select user or user group to access the desktops. You can search for the user or user groups that are members of the active domain. Now select the Next button. We see the overview screen. The CPU, memory, and storage utilization by a desktop pool is displayed. The resources are allocated up front to provide the maximum desktop count. Last-minute adjustments can be made on the spot. For example, adjust the maximum desktop number for a pool. This is extremely useful in case you do not have enough resources. The profiles can also be adjusted to modify resources allocation or to set pool properties. We are now ready to deploy. The deployment can be monitored by the Recent Activity window. Click on the question mark for more detailed information. The deployment is split into these steps: preparation of the block level and file level storage, creation of the desktop pool, and rebalancing of the desktops across ESXi hosts to increase the performance. The current deployment task is displayed at the bottom of the window. Step 1 creates data stores from the HDDs and the SDDs available for the ESXi hosts. Step 2 clones Nexenta Store VSAs from the template. It also configures the VM's resources, sets correct ZFS parameters, creates NFS shares, and mounts them on all ESXi hosts. In Step 2, the Nexenta Store VSAs have been cloned and are now being configured. Next, Nexenta Store VSAs are being configured. NFS data stores are being created on ESXi hosts. Now, Step 3 is creating a desktop pool, creating resources pool for the desktop pool, cloning the golden image, and creating the first batch of 8 desktops. During Step 3, on the VMware View admin, we can see 8 desktops undergoing preparation. Further, in Step 3, we see the first batch of 8 desktops is now available on vCenter. Also, we see the desktop pool is being updated to 20 desktops and creating the last batch of desktops. Now in Step 4, the pool has been successfully deployed and rebalanced. All the desktops are now available in View Manager. Your desktop pool is now ready for use. This completes the Deployment Wizard demonstration of NexentaVSA for View. Please visit Nexenta.com for a free 60-day trial download of NexentaVSA for View.